The first message came on a Tuesday. It arrived at all major Earth communications centers at exactly the same moment. The message was simple: we are not alone. 3 days later, the Galactic Council made formal contact. John Miller stood at the window of his Washington apartment looking at the night sky. At 52, with gray starting to show in his dark hair, he had spent 30 years in the Navy before becoming a diplomat. Now he faced the most important diplomatic mission in human history. His phone rang. "Ambassador Miller," he answered. "Ambassador, this is President Carter. The council ship will arrive tomorrow. Your team is confirmed. I need you at the White House in 1 hour." Miller packed his briefcase with notes about the Galactic Council. In the 3 months since first contact, Earth had learned that the Council united 37 alien species across 200 star systems. They had offered humanity membership, knowledge, and technology. In return, they wanted Earth's resources and help against some unnamed threat. President William Carter met Miller in the Oval Office. Carter was tall and lean, with a reputation for careful decisions. "John, I need you to understand the stakes. This mission will decide humanity's future." Miller nodded. "I understand, sir. Your team is the best we have. Trust them. But remember, we know almost nothing about these aliens. Be careful." "Yes, sir. We'll represent Earth well." The next morning, Miller met his team at Andrews Air Force Base. Dr. Lisa White arrived first, carrying books and digital tablets. At 35, she was the world's top xenolinguist despite her young age. "Ambassador," she said, shaking his hand. "I've analyzed all their communications. Their language patterns suggest they value order and hierarchy." Dr. Alan Clark joined them next. The xenobiologist was short and energetic, with excited eyes behind his glasses. "Ambassador Miller, I've been studying the biological data they sent. Fascinating. At least 12 different evolutionary paths." Major Susan Brown arrived in her Air Force uniform. She moved with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen combat. "Sir," she said, saluting Miller, "security preparations are complete." The last to arrive was Dr. Peter Jones, cultural specialist. Tall and thin with thoughtful eyes, he had studied how civilizations interact for 20 years. "Ambassador, good to see you again." Miller looked at his team. "We're making history today. Whatever happens, remember we represent not just America, but all of Earth." They watched as the council ship descended through the clouds. It was beautiful, sleek and silver, with no visible engines, silent as it hovered above the landing pad. It was shaped like a perfect oval, smooth and featureless except for a line that appeared as a doorway opened. The first alien to emerge stood 7 feet tall. It had blue-gray skin that seemed to shimmer in the sunlight. Its forearms moved gracefully as it walked down the ramp. Behind it came 6 other aliens of different species, one short and furry, another with scales and a long neck, one that floated rather than walked, and 3 others, equally strange. Miller stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, welcome to our world." The tall alien bowed slightly. "I am Zorlak, diplomatic liaison to the Galactic Council. We are pleased to meet you in person, Ambassador Miller." Its voice was musical, its English perfect. Miller wondered how it had learned the language so quickly. "We are honored," Miller said. "This is my team, Dr. White, Dr. Clark, Major Brown, and Dr. Jones." Zorlak gestured to its companions. "My fellow representatives from the council races." After formal greetings, they boarded the ship that would take them to the council headquarters on a planet orbiting Proxima Centauri. The ship, named USS Unity by Earth but built by the council, contained quarters designed specifically for humans. "How long will the journey take?" Miller asked, remembering the 4 years light would take to reach Proxima Centauri. Zorlak made a sound like gentle laughter. "We will arrive in 3 days. The wormhole gateway makes the journey brief." As the ship rose from Earth, Miller felt the weight of his responsibility. If he succeeded, humanity would join the stars. If he failed, Earth might remain isolated for centuries. The wormhole journey was both beautiful and terrifying. The Unity approached what looked like a tear in space, a swirling circle of light and darkness. Then they were through, surrounded by stars Miller had never seen. During the journey, Miller and his team met with various council representatives. Most seemed friendly, especially Zorlak, who answered their questions patiently. The council has existed for 12,000 of your years, Zorlak explained. We have helped many species join galactic civilization. Dr. White noticed something strange during one meeting. The reptilian delegates, the Draconians, they seemed to watch us differently than the others. I noticed too, said Major Brown. They whisper to the insect ones, the Vespids, whenever we speak about Earth's military. Miller made a note to watch these species more carefully. On the third day, they arrived at Proxima Centauri b. The planet was covered in gleaming cities and artificial oceans. At the center stood the Council Tower, a structure that seemed to be made of light and metal, rising 50 stories into the sky. This will be your embassy, said Zorlak, showing them a beautiful building near the tower. You may communicate with Earth daily. The next weeks were a blur of meetings, presentations, and diplomatic receptions. Miller and his team worked 18-hour days, learning about council species and sharing information about Earth. Most council members seemed genuinely interested in humans. They asked about Earth art, music, and history. They offered medical knowledge and clean energy technology. It all seemed perfect. Too perfect, Dr. Jones thought. One evening, Jones found Miller alone on the embassy balcony. Ambassador, something feels wrong, Jones said quietly. What do you mean? I've studied how civilizations interact for 20 years. This isn't normal. They're too interested in us, too willing to share technology. Miller had felt the same concern. Keep watching. Note anything unusual. The first real problem came during a council meeting about Earth joining trade agreements. Miller presented humanity's proposal, only to have it delayed by procedural objections from the Draconian representative. We simply need more time to consider, the reptilian delegate said smoothly. Humans move very quickly by council standards. After the meeting, Miller spoke with Zorlak. Is there a problem with our proposal? Not at all, Zorlak assured him. Council decisions often move slowly. Be patient. That night, Dr. White received a message from her friend Kevin Harris at NASA. The message was coded as personal, but its content was alarming. Lisa, we've detected unusual energy signatures in Earth orbit. Objects using some kind of cloaking technology. They appeared after the council first contacted us. I thought you should know. White shared the message with Miller immediately. Council ships watching Earth without telling us? Miller frowned. We need to know why. 6 months into the mission, the pattern became clear. Council members spoke of friendship but blocked human initiatives. They visited Earth without notification. They asked detailed questions about Earth defenses. Miller decided it was time to demand answers. What he didn't know was that the Council had already made its decision about humanity. The sky would soon go dark. Miller called his team together in the secure room of the human embassy. The room had been checked for listening devices 3 times that day. The walls were lined with technology that blocked any signals going in or out. We need to talk, Miller said, his voice low despite the security measures. Something isn't right with the Council. Dr. White nodded and activated her tablet. I've been studying their language patterns more carefully. When they discuss Earth in open meetings, the words are friendly, but I've picked up fragments of private communications. The tone is different. Different how? Asked Major Brown. They use terms that suggest threat assessment, not diplomatic relations, like they're studying an enemy, not welcoming a new member. Dr. Clark leaned forward. I've noticed the Draconians and Vespids watching our team whenever we enter the biological archives. Yesterday, I found my access to certain files blocked. Files about extinct species. Dr. Jones had been quiet, but now he spoke. I believe I know why. I've been gathering historical data about the Council. There's a pattern. He displayed a timeline on the room's main screen. These 7 species were once Council members. All 7 disagreed with Council policies. All 7 had their membership revoked. Within 5 years, all 7 species suffered major disasters. 3 went extinct. The room was silent as they absorbed this information. That could be coincidence, Major Brown said, but her tone suggested she didn't believe it. The odds against it are astronomical, Jones replied. And there's more. Each time the council offered help that somehow never arrived in time. Miller's communicator beeped. A priority message from Earth. It was from Kevin Harris at NASA again. Council ships have been detected near our Mars and Europa colonies. They scan our defenses, then disappear. When confronted, they claim to be lost or conducting standard surveys. President Carter wants answers. Miller turned to his team. We need proof of what they're doing. Without it, we're just making accusations. I might have a way, Dr. White said. The council communication system has patterns. I've identified a weakness in their encryption. With Dr. Clark's help, I might be able to access their secure files. That's risky, Miller warned. If caught, we'd be breaking council law. Major Brown's face was grim. Sir, if our suspicions are correct, we're already in danger. We need information. Miller nodded slowly. Do it, but be careful. For the next 2 weeks, White and Clark worked during the night cycles when most council activity slowed. They created a program that could slip through the cracks in the council's security systems. On the 3rd night, they succeeded. Ambassador, you need to see this. White called Miller to their workstation. On the screen was a council security file. It contained detailed scans of Earth's defense systems, population centers, and resource deposits. Another file showed plans for containment protocols for Earth. A 3rd file was labeled Species Elimination Contingency. They're planning something against Earth, Miller said, his voice tight with anger. Look at this, Dr. Clark pointed to another file. Records of other species who were contained by the council. The pattern matches what Jones found. Major Brown studied the military information. They know every weakness in our defenses. If they wanted to attack, we need to warn Earth, Miller decided. Download everything you can. We're taking this to the full council. Some members might not know what's happening. Is that wise? Jones asked. If the leadership is behind this, we'd be showing our hand. We have no choice, Miller replied. If we try to sneak this information home, they might stop us. Our best chance is to make this public and hope some council members stand with us. The next day, Miller requested an emergency council session. To his surprise, it was granted immediately. The Grand Council chamber held representatives from all 37 species. Miller and his team took their seats at the human delegation table. Zorlak opened the session. Ambassador Miller has requested this emergency meeting. The floor is yours, Ambassador. Miller stood and walked to the center of the chamber. The faces of alien delegates surrounded him on all sides. Some seemed curious, others hostile, many unreadable. Honored council members, Miller began. I come before you with grave concerns. Evidence has come to light that certain elements within the council have been gathering military intelligence about Earth without our knowledge or consent. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Miller continued, displaying the files they had discovered. These documents show plans to contain Earth and possibly eliminate humans as a species. Similar plans were executed against 7 former council members. The chamber erupted in noise. Some delegates shouted denials. Others demanded to see the evidence. A few sat in silence, watching carefully. The draconian representative, a tall reptilian named Zistex, rose to speak. This is outrageous. The human delegation has illegally accessed council security files and now makes wild accusations. These are not accusations, Miller replied firmly. These are your own documents. Zorlak raised all 4 hands for silence. This is a serious matter requiring investigation. The human delegation will surrender all copied files for verification. The council will recess until tomorrow. As Miller and his team left the chamber, they felt eyes following them. Back at the embassy, they found their communications to Earth blocked. They've cut us off, Major Brown reported. Standard procedure during an investigation, Miller said. but he didn't believe it. That night, while the others slept, Dr. White was awakened by a soft chime from her door. Opening it carefully, she found no one there, only a small data device. On the floor. She brought it inside and activated it. A hologram appeared, an avian alien with feathers of deep blue and gold. White recognized it as Kreetal, representative of the Aronian people. Dr. White, I cannot be seen contacting you. What Ambassador Miller said today is true. The Council leadership voted 3 months ago to contain humanity. They fear your potential and your independence. They will not allow such a challenge again. White felt cold fear. Again? This has happened before? Many times. My own people barely survived our containment. You have been judged too dangerous to join galactic society, but too valuable to destroy completely. What does containment mean? It begins tonight. Human delegation members will be arrested for espionage. Your ambassador will be publicly tried and executed as a warning. Earth will be isolated by force. We need to warn Earth. Yes, there is a small courier ship in Docking Bay 12. The access code is embedded in this message. One person might escape notice. The rest must create a diversion. The hologram vanished. White immediately woke the others. As Miller listened to the warning, alarms began to sound throughout the embassy. They're coming, Major Brown said, checking the security feeds. Council security forces, heavily armed. Miller made a quick decision. Dr. White, you take the courier ship. Get this information to Earth. The rest of us will buy you time. Ambassador, I can't leave you. That's an order, Miller said firmly. Earth must be warned. As security forces approached the embassy doors, humanity's future hung in. The balance. The sky over Earth was still bright, but darkness was coming. The embassy doors exploded inward with a flash of blue light. Council security forces poured into the building, their weapons ready. Major Brown had prepared for this moment. Now, she shouted. The lights went out. Emergency barriers dropped from the ceiling, slowing the security forces. In the darkness, Miller led his team through a back passage. They had practiced this escape route many times. Remember the plan, Miller said as they ran. Dr. White gets to the courier ship, everyone else creates confusion. They reached a junction where the passage split in 3 directions. Dr. White hesitated. Go, Miller told her. Don't look back. White nodded once, then disappeared down the right corridor. Miller, Clark, Jones, and Brown took the left passage. They needed to draw attention away from White. The security forces were close behind, led by Zissix, the Draconian representative. His voice echoed through the corridors. Ambassador Miller, there is nowhere to run. Surrender now, and your team will not be harmed. Miller knew this was a lie. He had seen the files. The Council had already decided their fate. Major, are you ready? Miller asked. Brown nodded and pulled out a small device. This will overload the power systems in this section. It should buy us about 10 minutes of confusion. Do it. Brown activated the device. The corridor filled with sparks as power systems failed throughout the embassy wing. Alarm sirens howled. Miller and his team used the chaos to move toward the central communications hub. If we can send a message to Earth from the main system, it might get through their blocks, Dr. Clark said. They reached the communications room but found it already occupied by 4 Vespid guards. The insect-like aliens raised their weapons. Plan B, Miller said calmly. Major Brown threw a flashbang device. The Vespids stumbled backward, disoriented by the light and sound. Brown moved quickly, disarming 2 guards while Miller and Jones tackled the others. Within seconds, all 4 guards were unconscious. Dr. Clark rushed to the communications console. I need 2 minutes to break through their security. You have 1 minute, Miller said, checking the corridor. They're coming. Clark worked frantically at the console while the others barricaded the door. Just as the first security forces reached their position, Clark shouted, I'm in. Miller stepped to the console and recorded a quick message. Earth Command, this is Ambassador Miller. The Council has hostile intent. Prepare for attack. White has the evidence. Trust nothing the Council says. The message cut off as an energy beam hit the console. The door had given way. Council forces poured into the room, led by Zisks and Zorlak. "That was foolish, Ambassador," Zorlak said, all pretense of friendship gone from his voice. "Your message will never reach Earth." Miller and his team were forced to their knees, hands secured behind their backs. "What happens now?" Miller asked, staring defiantly at his captors. "Now you face council justice," Zistix said with a cold smile that showed rows of sharp teeth. Across the council city, Dr. White moved carefully through the shadows. The data device from Kretal had included a map showing security camera blind spots. She reached docking bay 12 without being detected. The courier ship was small and sleek, designed for speed rather than comfort. White entered the access code and the ship's door slid open. Once inside, she went straight to the navigation system. "Set course for Earth," she told the computer. "Course locked," the computer responded. "Warning, departure requires council clearance." White inserted Kretal's data device. "Override protocol Eronian Alpha 6. Override accepted." Preparing for departure. As the ship powered up, alarms began to sound in the docking bay. White had been discovered. She looked at the launch countdown. 30 seconds. Guards were already entering the bay. Weapons drawn. "Emergency launch," White commanded. The ship shot forward, crashing through the bay's energy barrier. The sudden departure damaged the ship's outer hull, but the main systems remained functional. As the ship climbed into the atmosphere, White saw Council patrol. "Vessels moving to intercept. Maximum speed to the wormhole gateway," she ordered. The ship accelerated, pushing White back into her seat with the force. The patrol vessels fired warning shots, then began targeting her engines. The courier ship dodged and weaved, taking hits but staying functional. The wormhole gateway appeared ahead, her only escape route. Behind her, 6 patrol ships were closing fast. White pushed the engines beyond safety limits. The ship shuddered as another hit struck the rear section. "Warning, engine overload imminent," the computer announced. "Just get me through the wormhole," White said through gritted teeth. With a final burst of speed, the courier ship reached the gateway and plunged into the swirling vortex. The patrol ships broke off pursuit, unwilling to follow at such dangerous speeds. Inside the wormhole, White checked the ship's damage. The engines were failing, life support was damaged, navigation was barely functional, but she had escaped with the evidence. "Computer, how long until we reach the Sol system?" "Estimated time to arrival, 46 hours. White began preparing the evidence files for transmission to Earth. She needed to be ready the moment she exited the wormhole. Back at the council headquarters, Miller, Brown, Clark, and Jones were brought before a hastily assembled tribunal. The chamber was filled with representatives from all council species. Some looked uncomfortable, others eager to see the proceedings. "Humans of Earth," the Chief Justice, a tall crystalline being, announced, "You stand accused of espionage against the Galactic Council, illegal access of secure files, and inciting rebellion among council members. We demand the right to defend ourselves," Miller said firmly. "You have no rights here," Zisks replied. "The evidence is clear. The council has voted." Miller looked around the chamber, spotting Kretal among the Eronian delegation. Their eyes met briefly. The avian gave a slight nod, confirming that White had escaped. "The human delegation is found guilty of all charges," the Chief Justice declared. "The sentence is death to be carried out immediately as a message to Earth and any who would defy council authority." Major Brown tensed, ready to fight even with her hands bound. Miller shook his head slightly. There would be no escape this time. "Any last words, Ambassador?" Zorlak asked. Miller stood tall, looking directly into the recording devices that would broadcast his execution throughout council space. "Remember this moment," he said clearly. "This is not justice. This is fear. The council fears humanity because we represent something they cannot control. We represent freedom. And no matter what happens here today, Earth will not surrender. That freedom." Zistix raised his weapon. "Enough speeches." The energy beams struck Miller first, then the others. Their bodies collapsed to the floor of the chamber. Across council space, billions of beings watched the execution. Some cheered, believing the Council's claims about dangerous humans. Others watched in silence, wondering if they might be next, as named. Dr. White's damaged ship hurled through the wormhole toward Earth. She had no way of knowing her friends were already dead. All she knew was that she carried humanity's only warning of what was coming. The Council war fleet was already assembling, preparing to follow her through the wormhole. Soon the sky over Earth would go dark. Dr. White's ship exited the wormhole with a violent shudder. Warning lights flashed across the control panel. Hull integrity was failing. Life support systems were down to 30%. The engine was moments from total failure. Computer, send. Emergency distress signal to all Earth channels, White commanded. Transmitting, the computer responded. White recorded a quick message. This is Dr. Lisa White of the Earth Diplomatic Mission. Ambassador Miller and the team have been executed. The Council plans to attack Earth. I have evidence. I need immediate extraction. The ship limped toward Earth, still 3 hours away at its damaged speed. White worked frantically to organize the stolen Council files. If the ship failed before she reached Earth, the files had to be ready for immediate transmission. On Earth, Fleet Admiral Donna Martinez was reviewing defense reports when the emergency signal came through. Martinez was a decorated veteran with 30 years of service. Her weathered face showed the strain of recent weeks. Put it on screen, she ordered. When Dr. White's message played, the command center fell silent. Martinez immediately called President Carter. Mr. President, we have confirmation. The Council has hostile intent. Our ambassador and his team are dead. One survivor is returning with evidence. Carter's face was grim. Deploy all defense forces. Prepare for war. Martinez activated the Global Defense Network. Ships that had been hidden in asteroid bases moved into position. Ground-based weapons were brought online. The Mars and Europa colonies went on high alert. 3 hours later, a small Earth vessel intercepted White's failing ship. As she was brought aboard, she handed over the data device. They're coming, she said, her voice weak from exhaustion. The Council voted for extinction. At Earth Command in Colorado, Martinez and her team reviewed the evidence. The files showed detailed Council plans for Earth's containment. The first phase involved massive orbital platforms designed to block sunlight from reaching the planet. They plan to freeze us slowly, Martinez said. Let civilization collapse before they move in. A young officer spoke up. Admiral, deep space sensors are detecting multiple wormhole signatures, large vessels, at least 50 of them. Martinez turned to her communications officer. Contact the Council ships when they arrive. One last attempt at peace. President Carter addressed the world from the White House bunker. His message was calm but direct. Citizens of Earth, I must inform you that the Galactic Council has revealed itself as hostile. Our diplomatic team has been executed without just cause. A Council war fleet approaches Earth. We have attempted peaceful communication but have been rejected. Earth is now at war with the Galactic Council. Stay calm. Follow emergency protocols. Earth will prevail. The Council fleet arrived 12 hours later. The ships were massive, each one larger than Earth's biggest city. They took position in strategic orbits around the planet. Similar ships appeared near Mars and Europa colonies. Martinez opened a channel from her command ship. This is Fleet Admiral Donna Martinez of Earth Defense Forces. We request peaceful dialogue. The response came from Zistix, now revealed as the fleet commander. Earth has been judged too dangerous for galactic integration. You will surrender your military capabilities and accept permanent monitoring or face extinction. We will not surrender our sovereignty, Martinez replied. Then you have chosen extinction. The channel closed. Minutes later, the Council ships deployed their weapons. Not bombs or lasers, but enormous unfolding structures. Like giant parasols, they began expanding in Earth orbit. Within hours, they had grown to block significant portions of sunlight from reaching the planet. In cities across Earth, people watched as the sky began to darken unnaturally. It was midday, but it looked like evening. Temperatures began to drop. Power grids strained as people turned on lights and heating systems. At a Earth Command, scientists analyzed the Council technology. The platforms are blocking approximately 60% of sunlight, Dr. Ryan Phillips reported. Phillips was the director of advanced weapons research, a brilliant scientist who had been working on countermeasures since the first hints of council deception. "How long before this becomes catastrophic?" Martinez asked. "At this level of blockage, global agriculture will fail within weeks, power systems within months. They're not bombing us. They're starving us slowly." Martinez studied the tactical display. Earth's defense forces were vastly outnumbered. Their weapons might damage some council ships, but not enough to make a difference. "We need to target those platforms," she decided. "Prepare all forces for coordinated strike." Earth's combined fleet launched from hidden bases in orbit, on the moon, and from underwater facilities. 200 ships against the Council's 50 massive vessels. But the Council ships were not designed primarily for war. They were civilization carriers, containing entire cities of different species. The battle began with Earth forces focusing on the darkness platforms. They managed to destroy 3 platforms before the Council fleet responded. Energy beams lanced out, destroying dozens of Earth ships in seconds. Martinez watched from her command vessel as the battle turned against them. "We need more time," she said. "Phillips, is Project Prometheus ready?" Phillips nodded. "Final stages, we need 3 weeks." "You have 3 days," Martinez said. "I'll buy you what time I can." The Earth fleet fought bravely, using the moon for cover and executing hit-and-run attacks. But the technological gap was too great. By the end of the day, half of Earth's ships were destroyed or disabled. On the surface, chaos began to spread. The unnatural darkness triggered panic in some areas. Governments struggled to maintain order. In research facilities buried deep underground, Dr. Phillips and his team worked desperately to complete Project Prometheus, Earth's last hope. On Mars, the situation was even worse. The Council had deployed the same technology, but the colony was more vulnerable. Commander Olivia Scott led her small security force in a desperate gamble. "We need to capture one of their scout ships," she told her team. "It's the only way to learn their weaknesses." Using the dust storms for cover, Scott's team managed to ambush a small Council vessel that had landed to take readings. They overwhelmed the surprise crew and captured the ship intact. "Get this ship to Phillips on Earth," Scott ordered, "and don't get caught." As the captured ship slipped away from Mars, Scott turned to face the approaching Council forces. She and her remaining team would not survive, but they would buy time for the ship to escape. Back on Earth, 3 days had passed. The sky was now permanently dark. Temperatures had dropped 15 degrees worldwide. Food stockpiles were being rationed. Power grids were failing. In the command center, Martinez received a message from Phillips. "Project Prometheus is ready, and we've received something interesting from Mars." Martinez allowed herself a small smile. "Prepare the counterattack. The Council thinks they've won. They're about to learn how dangerous humans really are." Above Earth, the Council fleet watched impassively as humanity struggled beneath the artificial night. They believed victory was assured. They did not know that in the darkness, humanity was preparing to strike back. 3 weeks into the darkness, Earth was a changed world. Cities operated on emergency power. Farms used artificial light to grow food in underground facilities. People lived in darkness, but they did not surrender. In a secret base beneath the Rocky Mountains, Admiral Martinez met with Dr. Phillips and the team that had brought the captured Council scout ship from Mars. "Show me what you found," Martinez said. Phillips gestured to the scout ship. "The technology is amazing, but we found a weakness. The Council ships use a unique energy field for their faster-than-light drives. When active, this field is stable. But during the activation or deactivation phase, it's vulnerable." "Vulnerable how?" "A specific energy pulse can create a cascade reaction that would disable their FTL capabilities. They would be stranded here, unable to call for reinforcements or escape." Martinez studied the plans. "Can we build a weapon that creates this pulse?" Phillips smiled. "We already have. Project Prometheus is ready." He led Martinez to a large hangar where technicians worked on a device the size of a small car. It glowed with a soft blue light. "The pulse needs to be activated from inside the Council fleet," Phillips explained. "Someone has to get close to their command ship and activate the device. The energy signature needs to be precisely aimed at their main drive system." A suicide mission, Martinez said quietly. Yes. The ship carrying this will never return. They were interrupted by a young woman approaching. She had dark hair and determined eyes. I'll do it, she said. Martinez turned to the newcomer. Who are you? Maria Garcia. I was a cargo pilot at the Jupiter mining colony. My family was there when the council attacked. They didn't make it. I have nothing left to lose. Martinez looked into Garcia's eyes and saw the resolve there. Are you sure? I'm sure. Just give me a fast ship and a clear path. The plan came together quickly. Earth's remaining fleet would launch a coordinated attack, drawing attention away from Garcia's small, fast ship. The Council would expect another desperate attempt to destroy the Darkness platforms. They wouldn't be looking for a single vessel heading for their command ship. The attack began at dawn, though dawn was nearly invisible under the Darkness platforms. Earth ships rose from hidden bases, launching missiles at the nearest Council vessels. The Council fleet responded exactly as expected, moving to intercept the attacking forces. In the confusion, Garcia's ship slipped away from Earth, accelerating rapidly toward the massive Council command vessel. Her ship was small and stripped down to basics. Just engines, minimal life support, and Project Prometheus. Command, this is Garcia. I'm approaching target position. No sign they've detected me yet. Copy that, Garcia, Martinez replied from the command center. Our forces are keeping them busy. You have maybe 10 minutes before they realize you're there. Garcia guided her ship through the debris of battle. Around her, Earth vessels fought bravely against overwhelming odds. They were buying her time with their lives. Aboard the Council, command ship Zistex received reports of the human attack. Pathetic, he said to his officers. They know they cannot win. This is merely the desperation of a dying species. Commander, a Vespid officer called out. Small vessel detected approaching our position. Not part of the main attack force. Zistex hissed in annoyance. Destroy it. Energy weapons targeting. The officer reported. On Garcia's ship. Warning. Alarms blared. They've spotted me, she told command. I'm taking evasive action, but I need to get closer for the device to work. Martinez watched the tactical display as Garcia's ship twisted and turned, avoiding enemy fire. All units focus attack on the command ship's defense systems. Give Garcia a chance. Earth's forces shifted their attack, hammering the command ship with everything they had. Most shots were absorbed by the ship's shields, but it was enough to divide their attention. Garcia pushed her ship to maximum speed, aiming directly for the command vessel's main drive section. I'm approaching optimal position, she reported. Activating Prometheus now. She pressed her hand against the activation panel. The device hummed to life, energy building within it. The Council ship loomed large in her viewport. 30 seconds to contact, she reported calmly. It's been an honor, Admiral. The honor is ours, Garcia, Martinez replied, her voice thick with emotion. Earth will remember. On the Council command ship, alerts sounded as their sensors detected the energy building in Garcia's vessel. Unknown energy signature. An officer reported. It's targeting our drive systems. Destroy that ship now, Zistex ordered. Energy beams lanced out, striking Garcia's ship. But she was too close now. Her damaged vessel crashed into the command ship's hull near the drive section. The Project Prometheus device activated on impact. A pulse of blue-white energy spread from the point of impact, washing over the command ship and then jumping to nearby vessels. Council ships began losing power, their lights flickering and engines failing. What's happening? Zistex demanded as his own ship's systems began shutting down. Drive systems failing, an officer reported. The pulse has created a cascade reaction in the FTL matrix. We cannot jump to hyperspace. All ships are reporting the same effect, another added. The entire fleet is stranded. On Earth, Martinez watched as the tactical display showed Council ships losing power. It worked, she whispered. Garcia did it. Then something unexpected happened. 3 Council ships turned their weapons on the command vessel. Admiral, we're receiving a transmission from those Council ships, a communications officer reported. The view screen showed an alien face, the avian features of Kretal, the Aronian, who had helped Dr. White escape. Admiral Martinez, I represent Council species who oppose the decision to attack Earth. The execution of your ambassador opened many eyes. We no longer recognize Zistex's authority. We offer our help to disable the darkness platforms. Martinez studied the alien's face, looking for deception. Why should we trust you? Because we know what it means to face extinction at the Council's hands. My people barely survived our own containment. We will not stand by while it happens. Again, Martinez made her decision. Very well. Focus on the darkness platforms. With the help of Kretal's ships, Earth forces began destroying the platforms. Slowly, light returned to Earth's skies. As the first real sunlight in weeks touched the planet's surface, people emerged from their homes, looking up with hope. The war was not over. The Council fleet, though stranded and divided, was still powerful. But the balance had shifted. Earth now had time to study Council technology from captured ships. The colonies on Mars and Europa sent word that they too had succeeded in fighting back. 1 month after the darkness began, Admiral Martinez stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned vessel USS Defiance. Around her, a fleet of Earth ships prepared to depart. Their destination, the wormhole to Proxima Centauri. Admiral, fleet reports ready, her second-in-command said. Martinez looked at the tactical display. The remaining Council ships had withdrawn to the outer solar system, still unable to use their FTL drives to escape. Some had surrendered. Others, like Kretal's group, had become allies. It's time, Martinez said. We're not just fighting for Earth anymore. There are other species who have suffered under the Council's rule. Ambassador Miller believed in a better kind of galactic community. We're going to build it. She addressed the fleet. This is Admiral Martinez. Our mission is clear. We go through the wormhole not just to defend Earth, but to free all species from Council tyranny. They brought darkness to our world. Now we bring light to the galaxy. The fleet moved forward, led by the USS Defiance. As they approached the wormhole, Martinez thought about Miller, about Garcia, and all those who had died so that humanity could reach this moment. The sky had gone dark, but humanity had survived. And now, they would bring a new dawn to the stars.